Pull up in motorcades. I got a show today. It's all I'm trying to do. Hustle and motivate. Choppers a throwaway. Hustle the overweight. That's why they follow me, huh? They think I know the way. Cause I took control of things. Ballin' the solo way. And if you pattern my trend.
What up, everybody? Welcome to the Mono Mentality Podcast. I'm your host, Mono K. Today we have a exciting guest, someone that I actually have been excited to meet. No pun intended. But I literally have gone to this place 4 or 5 times since living here in the Tri-Cities, and I am here with Jose, the man behind JUANITOS Prime Meats. I don't say that lightly. This is something that I'm excited to jump into. We're going to be talking about some sauce, some game, and then more importantly, some impact on how you can grow your business. So welcome to the show, Jose.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I just got done with the catering gig, so I'm a little bit, dirty, I guess you could say.
Hey,
but
the grind don't stop.
yeah, the grind doesn't stop.
Yeah,
for sure. We're on it.
Yeah. Talk about the business, Jose. So for someone who's never been to JUANITOS, paint the picture. Why are people? What's the buzz around JUANITOS Prime Meats?
I think it's because, I take pride in, owning and operating that business. So it's got a different vibe. It's got a different experience. I think it's a different experience than walking into any other meat market because I'm a younger guy. I'm a little bit more new school. So I know, people walk in there and they get a different vibe. Like, oh, dang, it's clean. We got a brand new meat case, different meats they've never seen before. And so right away, it's a different vibe in there.
So for the listeners, we just talked about this, but you started the business at the age of 22. You're currently 25, about to turn 26.
Right.
What are you most proud of in the last 2 or 3 years of building it?
Being able to sell some really good meat. That's what I'm most proud of. Not only that, but to give people a different experience at home. For me, that's the biggest thing.
Well, what's the experience now for like people that, what's the current setup right now for most meat shops?
Yeah, I would say, and everybody does business, in their own way and they got their own thing going on. But I would say most meat shops, they try to play it safe with meats that are known, that are accessible price-wise, and that's good, But we went in and we reached a little bit farther. And we took the risk with a little bit more expensive side of things, like something new to the Tri-Cities that Tri-Cities hadn't seen before. And so that's where the risk came in.
And it is bomb.
Thank you.
It is bomb.
Thank you.
I think from one Sunday, I was out with my daughter, and it was a Sunday, and literally like after church, I was ready to get out of church. I was like, let's pull up to JUANITOS real quick. And dude, I think I bought like 2 of those silver trays.
Oh, you got it?
I think I spent like probably a couple grand on meat, dude.
Dang,
but
I appreciate that.
It wasn't the price.
Yeah.
It was the quality.
Right.
And I think that's something that I want to talk about because it is state recognized.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Tell me what that means and why does that matter?
If we dive a little bit into, price, like you said, it doesn't matter. Price only is, the absence of value. Everybody knows that. So explaining that to people is like, okay, well, this meat is going to elevate your kitchen. It's going to make you work less.
Yeah.
All you got to do is add salt to it. And then boom, people are impressed. Like, oh, where'd you get this? How'd you cook that? You know what I mean? So being recognized statewide, 1 was because of social media, and 2 was because we actually have the product to back it up. We have the experience as well.
And I think that's powerful because when you're building a business, you're building a brand.
Right.
And you guys have people coming from Seattle, like 3-4 hours driving all the way down here to go get your guys' your product. When did that hit you to be like, a customer come in and you're like, where'd you drive from? Oh, I just drove from Seattle to come get some meat. What was your thoughts?
I know there was a day where it hit me the most. It was my birthday last year, where there was people just flowing in, tons of foot traffic. Everybody's like, oh, I'm from Seattle. The guy over here is Everett. I'm from Hermiston. I'm from Yakima. Different people. There's an Idaho guy, like all like within an hour. You're just helping people out, bagging people's meat and making those trays and stuff. And so that's when it hit me, like, oh, dang, like, That was like a made it moment.
Yeah.
You know, because I was experiencing it for me. It wasn't like my coworker was telling me, "Hey, we got this people from over here." Like I was living it, and so right there, I had to like slow down and be like, "Dang, dude, like
This is
all the
happening.
work has paid off. Like all the advertising, all those social media videos that at first, you know, people would make fun of me about. You know, like nobody's gonna buy that meat.
So you
You
had
know,
people like
of
doubting you when
course.
you first started, huh?
Of course, and I feel like that's a big driving factor for a lot of entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
The
and
doubt.
I think it's the fear of other people's opinions, and I think that's usually where most entrepreneurs fall off because they're trying to please everyone.
Right.
And I think that's something like I don't, it's crazy because you're here on my show,
Right.
but like I knew about you guys, like
Appreciate it.
everywhere, like when I'd ask like my buddies because I came from Cali, I'm from LA, and
Nice.
LA, the way the meat shops for us, because I grew up in Inglewood, it was like you go to the corner store and they got like it's not a meat shop, it's like they got everything there,
They
and then
got
they have like this
everything.
little part here for the meat.
Yeah. See, you know.
And, you know, you don't know where the meat come from, but it's like it is seasoned and marinated, but it
Yeah.
was like a good price, and I think that's
Yeah.
like my perception of meat.
Right.
But coming to your guys' place, like you said, it was like an experience.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you walk into the place, it's clean, professional, and people. Here's what I noticed because as a business owner, the people working there love their job,
Right.
and I think that's something I want to talk about is the community you built,
Yeah.
behind it. Because what problem were you looking to solve when you first started Juanitos, especially going to build culture and community?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that we were trying to solve is like, where can we get some good meat? And another thing that I was looking to solve was where could we not only get some good meat, but where could we get some exceptional meat? Where can we get some exceptional service? Some stores that you walk in, they don't even say hi.
Yeah,
You
they're just
walk
clocking
in
in.
and they don't even know that you're in there. Like, for me, that's not, for me as a retail owner, retail store owner, I don't think that's acceptable at all.
Yeah,
The employees, your coworkers, they have to be the first ones. Hey, how you doing? Good afternoon. How's your
Yeah.
day going? The first ones to greet you. You as a customer don't greet me first.
Yeah.
Never. You can't beat me to the greeting.
yeah.
So that's the biggest thing. Just the biggest thing for me is the experience when you're in the store and when you go home and you're grilling it. That's the most important.
So, Jose, give me some game. And I don't know much about this, but I'm actually kind of curious. And maybe this is a question that, maybe a lot of people listening to are like, but what defines quality meat?
Right.
Like, what makes it good? Is it just maybe, how the cow is raised or things like that? But, like, what are, like, key significant differences between identifying some mid meat and, like, exceptional meat?
I would say for me personally, and I've been cutting meat since I was 15 years old. So it's been, about 10, 11 years. For me, definitely quality is one, freshness. So how fresh is the meat? And two, where it's coming from. So like you said, how was the cow raised? How was the beef raised? And how was it processed? What was the process? And so we're using local ranches that are top notch. We're getting prime, and sometimes, well, most of the time, we always carry Wagyu. So we got a good selection of prime, and we got a good selection of Wagyu, and you got to have a good skilled butcher to cut those.
Yeah. Where exactly were you born and raised?
I was born in Othello, random.
Really?
Yeah, super random. Othello. I was just born there, and I lived there till I was like 3 or 4 months years old, and then I moved to Yakima.
Okay.
And I lived there until I was like 13. And then I came over here to Tri-Cities and
Yeah.
been here ever since.
Shout out Othello, man. I just had Polo Garza on the show.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know,
I think I've seen some clips of that.
Yeah. And obviously, he talked about his journey in Othello, and Othello is like
Yeah.
one of those places in Washington that you're either known there for produce,
Yeah.
and then obviously like farming. So
And trucking too.
trucking too.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of truckers.
Yeah.
What was your parents are obviously where are your parents from? Are they from
Yeah.
U.S.? Are they from Mexico?
Yeah, they're from Mexico, man.
What part?
Yeah. So my dad's from Jalisco and my mom's from Colima.
Colima.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they were born over there. They came over here at a very young age.
So then, how did you guys get into the meat industry?
Yeah.
Was that something that your pops
Yeah.
was like? Was he working for it, or he was like he saw an opportunity and he built it?
Right. So my dad, he never knew that he was going to be in the meat business. I always like to say this: my dad crawled so I can run/walk. My dad was really the one that built the foundation of everything that is in my head as far as business.
Like what though?
So like the core, the core values, because he started um, at a meat shop, just clean the bathrooms, sweeping up the place, being a dishwasher.
Yeah.
That's how he started, and he ended up just moving up in positions, learning the meat game, learning how to sell wholesale, and so he's been in this industry, the meat industry, for 30 years, and so he's like my biggest mentor. A lot of people have to pay a certain mentor to,
Yeah.
and I haven't.
The game is to be sold, not told, right?
Exactly. So
So your dad, your dad was obviously doing it for 30 years.
yeah.
Was that something that just kind of fell in your lap, or was that something that you saw at a young age? Like, man, my dad's doing this. I see I can go take this and take it to the next level.
Yeah.
What was that like?
No, man, if I'm being completely honest with you, up until I was like 15, 16, I would see my parents struggle a lot with the business.
Like,
They
how were they struggling?
They were basically, what is it called when you own a business but it's not making too much money? It's basically, um, what is the word for that? They have a name for it. It's just like you have a low income job, basically. Like
They're like an employer of their own business.
yeah, exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
So they were employees of their own business. They would work day and night, nonstop, every single day, and I barely even had time to, talk about my problems at school. As just a young kid trying to vent to their parents, like they were always just talking about business. So I grew up thinking, you know what, I don't want nothing to do with any kind of business.
Yeah.
If it's gonna be like that,
Yes. Not
I don't
doing it.
want it like that.
Yeah.
Like because they were stressed. They were, and luckily we got over that.
Do you
But-
think it was from, because I think, most minority business owners,
Mm-hmm.
they weren't like my parents. My dad is obviously a truck driver. He owned his own business, came straight
Nice.
from the islands. I think he kind of just jumped into it, not knowing much about it.
Right.
But do you think it was more of like a budgeting issue? Do you think it was
Mm-hmm.
more of like a scaling issue or a production issue or operation? What
I
did
would
you notice?
say for sure scaling issue, and right now, I mean, we're in the best spot ever in the timeline of history where we have all this information accessible to us. So if I want to start, I don't know, a concrete business, and I could
right there.
just look it up on YouTube. I could pay somebody, to teach me, pay for a mentor. But my dad, he didn't, have the information right away accessible. So, and it's a new market. So he's from Yakima, came to Tri-Cities, he split from the Yakima location and the other owner. And so there were struggles with that.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing where he always taught me, like, hey, business partners, think twice about it, because it can get a little bit sticky.
So your dad obviously was like, okay, I'm going to mentor you. Been doing this for 30 years. So
Yeah.
as expert in this.
Yeah.
Did you do this by yourself, or did you have like people that you were working with? How did you start it out when you transitioned into it?
Yeah. So definitely, like, my family helps me all the time. Of course, it's a big, it's a family business. My little sister works there too. She's doing all the paychecks and all that, the payroll, and so she's 23. No, she just turned 24. So, yeah, he always wanted me to be a part of the business, and like I said, for like the first 18 years of my life, the answer was always no. I even went and worked at Lamb Weston, tried that out, and I was like, you know what? I don't think I want to work for anybody else. That's when I realized.
Why was that though?
I mean, it was a good paying job and everything, but I was like, oh man, like, I don't know. I think I'm meant for more. I think I could lead. I could, I don't know. I just had that feeling that
An ambition.
an ambition, something in here where I wasn't waking up with the same, I don't know, the same
Purpose.
fire. Yeah, exactly. The same
Yeah.
fire or the same purpose. So I had to try something new. And I told my dad, I was like, hey, I want to open up my own store. Right before that happened, it was because I started controlling his social media, because I knew that there was a lack of social media posts. And I told him, I was like, hey, like let me take over the social media page for you and let me make some posts and stuff. And so that's how it all started. That's what got me into it.
Yeah. I mean, what did your dad say? Like, Dad, I'm gonna go open up a meat shop. Was he like supportive?
Yeah, he's super supportive.
Heck yeah.
He's always been supportive. Even when I didn't want to follow him in his footsteps, he's like, you know what? I support you. Whatever you want to do, I trust you. Maybe he knew it wasn't the best decision. If he was in my shoes, he'd be like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
of course, there was a judgment-free zone for that too. He's like, you know what? Do what you need to do. The only thing I want for you is for you to be happy and for you to work hard in whatever you're gonna do. But
See,
do it.
I think that right there, what you just said, is what defines an entrepreneur. Because you mentioned you were working at Land West and you felt like that emptiness of I could be doing more, but you figured out like your purpose and your why.
Yeah.
On okay, this is what's going to get me up every single day. Not only are you supporting yourself, but you're supporting your sister who's doing payroll. Your dad who's done this for 30 years, and you're able to go take this to another level. And I personally believe this, but when it comes to business, most entrepreneurs, where they get stuck,
Yeah.
is they're constantly working in the business, but they don't have enough time to work on the business.
Right.
And then your dad working for 30 years in the business,
Yeah.
it gave you a bit of perspective on, okay, this is what we can do to go work on the business, grow it, which got social media. So I want
Right.
to talk about that. I think this is one of the things that like a lot of old dogs, they just can't wrap their head around it on like,
Yeah, it's hard.
it doesn't work. But social media is the time. If you're not doing social media, you're not branding, you're not marketing, like you're late to the game. So there's a doubt. Did you have doubt like when you did your first post? Like what was your first post on like, let's try this out?
Yeah.
What was your process when you first came out with social media?
I mean, just like anything that you start new, you're not gonna be good at it, and people are gonna look at it and be like, "What are you doing?" You know
Yeah.
what I mean? There's always gonna be those people that are like, "What are you doing?" But even some of my coworkers at the time were like,
Really?
"Are you like you
What were
barely
they
even know?" I don't know. They were just a little bit doubtful, making comments like, "Dude, you're not even, the best at cutting meat." And when I first started, I wasn't. That's how everybody starts.
Yeah.
Just like in sales, like when you first start,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You're not going to be the best, but I mean, if you're working hard, if you got that fire in you, day to day, every day, 1% better, you know what I mean? So that's what I was doing. I was posting up videos and I would slowly see like, okay, people are mentioning the videos, people are coming from the videos, and I would run like ads on Facebook, and they were actually working. The first post that I posted was like a Japanese Wagyu steak on special or something like that, and
Yeah.
I ran an ad on it, and that was like the first time where I was like, oh dang, like it works, because there was about like probably like 15 people from that post in one day.
Boom, lead conversion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right away. So I was like, okay, well I only spent like $50 on that post, you know what I mean? And what was
go.
the return on that?
Let's go
If
reinvest
you're
into
selling Wagyu steak, like it's a pretty good
Yeah.
return. So let's just keep doing that. But most of our growth has been organic though, for
Yeah.
sure.
I think that's the best way because, and I've always, and I believe this personally, but like you are the business. So
Right.
it's like, why go pay someone thousands of dollars to go promote your business when you can literally do it for free and just
Yeah.
be yourself and go market your own product? Like, I'm rocking
Yeah.
Inspire, rocking JUANITOS, right? It's like
Yeah,
you are walking billboard.
exactly.
In the meat industry, it isn't exactly known for, it's not typically Hispanic owned, right?
Right.
So what was it? I guess when you came out with the posts, you didn't have people that were obviously supportive of it because when I first think of a meat shop, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think of like old Billy Joe in
Okay,
overalls, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Like,
see what you're saying. Yeah.
lumber. That's what I think of. But
Yeah.
like when you think of like Hispanic owned, did those doubts ever like cross your mind on like, man, maybe I'm young or maybe I'm Hispanic, we're not supposed to be doing this? Did it ever cross your mind?
I always I don't know. I would kind of break it down in my head, and I knew that it was for me. I knew it was for me. Obviously, yes, everybody has their doubts, of course. That realistically doubts are good because they make you grow. They make you grow. Like, okay, I'm doubting if I can do this, but what specific area? What specific area are you doubting? The leadership, like growing a team, the systems, the operation side. You know, maybe you don't know enough about the finances. So, oh, I can't run a business because I don't know about the finances. Okay, well, the information's there. It's just up to you if you want to look into it. You don't like this. And like I said, you can't. You got to be a good all-rounder, but you can't be good at everything.
Jack of all trades, yeah.
Yeah, you can't. As an entrepreneur, you got to be focused on what you're good at. And so I really found that I was really good at making videos, grabbing people's attention, social interactions in the store. And so I can pass that knowledge to the coworker that I'm training, the employee that I'm training, to the team leader that I'm training. Like, how do we interact where it's fun, where it's, you know, engaging for the customer, so they can come back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
and I think that's a entrepreneurship role. Education is good, but if you don't apply none of it matters. Like
Right.
you can learn all the stuff. and
Exactly, yeah.
You can literally have the handbook, but if you don't know how to execute or implement, your business never grows. Right.
Exactly.
I'm gonna talk about this value over price. So typically people are like, I want to pay for the cheapest thing. For you knowing your worth, that's what I love about your story is you're not competing on price. You know your worth. You know what
Yeah.
you stand for. You know what products that you're building. How did you get to that place mentally?
Man, so I would see the biggest thing for me is hearing people's stories of how they tried Wagyu. And most of the time they would always say, "Oh, I tried in Seattle. Oh, I tried in Las Vegas." They're paying the price. They just weren't paying it here. So how do we get them to
Yeah.
pay it here? You know, obviously the experience at a high-end restaurant completely different. But we're not offering that experience. We're offering the experience of you're getting it half of the price that you're paying over there in Vegas or Seattle, but at your home.
Locally.
Exactly. And locally. You know, so that was the biggest thing for me. I knew people in Tri-Cities were starting to make that good money. They wanted that good experience, and so who's going to give it to them?
Yeah.
You got to
'Cause-
jump on that quick.
Because that's the biggest thing I see, Jose, is, people are willing to just lowball, like literally
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
excuse my language, but drop their pants to like just go sell it. But there's a sense of value that you got to have in,
Yeah.
especially in sales, and knowing that, hey, my product sells itself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really about educating
Right.
the consumer on what it is. And typically there's not much to sell because people will drive
Yeah.
3-4 hours to it.
Yeah.
What would you say to this business owner right now who's scared to charge what they're actually worth?
I kind of do want to mention too. I mean, the biggest thing too was a lot of people they love the product, but what is the product? How does the product one make them feel, and how does other people perceive them when they have the product? So if you post, I just got a Wagyu steak, what are other people gonna say? How are other people gonna feel? Like, oh dang, like this guy got it like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like he's getting Wagyu steak just on a regular Tuesday. Like, okay, so people posting that tray with that nice branding and that nice presentation of meats, they're not really asking. They're not coming in the store asking like, how much is it? Obviously, price is a big important thing. But if they come to a social gathering and they come in with that tray, they're like, dang, where'd you get that tray at?
Yeah.
Like, how many pounds of meat? What is that kind of meat? Like, where's that from?
It's a flex.
So it's a flex, exactly. So, and that ties back into branding, the experience, and all that. So you mentioned price, right? So how do you, what was the question again? Sorry.
How do you charge accordingly?
Yeah.
Based on the marketplace, because
Yeah.
it's a pretty competitive. I would say like I usually go to Costco, but I just love the exclusivity
Right.
of knowing that, hey, this is locally owned.
Yeah.
There's actually someone that actually cares about the product. This is not just corporate, just
Yeah.
selling it, but there's also a story behind it. But it also supports a community.
Right.
And like you mentioned, I'm a bit bougie. I sometimes like to go to the Nobus and see steakhouses,
Yeah.
and I love my freaking Wagyu.
Exactly.
But for me, the accessibility of being able to go get a high, in my opinion, ticket meat, locally and then show up on a Tuesday. Like I remember I showed up with the whole like I spent $2,000 to do at your place, and I say that because I don't regret it.
Yeah.
But I feel like I was balling. My
Thank
daughter
you.
was like so excited. I mean, shout out Curtis who cooked it up on the grill. You know, I first stopped him because he pulled out the seasoning. I slapped his hands like, I don't need no seasoning. I just need some salt.
Okay, nice.
know what I mean?
That was a good save.
I was like, first off, Wagyu, Japanese Wagyu, let it be.
just salt. Yeah.
But number one, it was just the status of being able to have that, but then also just the experience, you know, being able to just, when you eat and no one's talking,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I
Right,
like that
like-
feeling. Yeah.
that means that it's good, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's one of the things I took away. Branding, what are some key things that you focus on when you're looking at branding your product?
I would say definitely the story behind it.
Okay.
Got to focus on a good story. Like everybody has a unique story. A lot of people don't. A lot of people think their story doesn't matter. It's not different, or it might be boring. But I think everybody has a unique story, and just be true to yourself, and that can be a core thing of the brand. It's like, where does this come from? Where do you come from? How did we get here?
Yeah.
That's a big thing that people ask. And then once you solidify that, you can create a really strong brand that whatever product you come out with, people already are in line to buy it. If you go to an Apple store, the iPhone 18 comes out, you're not asking for the specs. Let's be honest. Most
just
people
want
are
it.
not asking for the specs. They're just asking, let me buy it. Like, how much is it? Like, you're already in line for it. And so building a strong brand is everything. And how do you do that? By, backing up what you promise you're going to do for the customers. Quality, freshness, and of course the story is a big thing too.
Yeah, because I think one of the things when you're looking at marketing, you're looking at funnels, right?
Yeah.
You use the Facebook funnel, which you got pretty good conversions.
Yeah.
How are you typically evaluating, KPIs for your conversions? Were you typically, what platforms are you using? Was it TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or you just
super early on? It was just Facebook and Instagram, and then I realized, like, if I'm getting 1,000 views on Facebook and I'm getting another 500, 800, super early on, 1,000 views on Instagram, why don't I post this on TikTok and get another 1,000? YouTube Shorts, another 1,000. And so we would just post everywhere, even on Snapchat. And I was just, I was very on top of, I got to post everywhere.
Yeah.
Because in total, how many views are we going to get a month on all platforms? And that's just free advertising.
Yeah.
That's just free connection with your customer, because having somebody on Instagram, having somebody on on TikTok, following each other, that will there's statistics out there that will convert a customer way quicker than if they see you on TV or if they see you on or hear you about you on a radio, or if you pay, any kind of paid ad.
Yeah.
It probably converts a really good amount. But if you have them on social media and they feel like they can connect with you, then that's a customer, like probably 80% chance that that's a customer right there.
Yeah. And I think that's the power of social media, because, there's algorithms that are constantly, changing. But
yeah.
if you're being consistent and you're posting it on all, it's kind of like you're destined to go hit the jackpot. And
Right.
did you have like a video that went viral?
Yeah, we've had
Was
several videos.
What was your your biggest hit?
I think it was like 10 million on YouTube.
10 milli. I heard that. 10 milli.
Yeah, that was.
Did you just did you know, or did someone hit you up and be like, "Yo, you just hit 10 mil"?
So, one was with Johnny. This one I think got like around 4 or 5 million, and so the guy showed up and he was from was he from Wapato or Toppenish? One of those. Toppenish.
Yeah.
He was from Toppenish. He walks in, and we were doing videos already, so none of our content is pre-planned.
On the spot.
that was on the spot. At this time, this was on the spot. He walks in, he's like, "Hey man, I just saw your TikTok video. I'm from Wapato, Washington." Literally like that. And so I was like, dude, can you just at least just repeat that? And I don't know what you're about to order, but let's get everything super, non-scripted. And so he just repeated that. He's like, "Hey man, like I just came from Wapato, Washington," and boom, people loved it. A lot of people were commenting, a lot of engagement. They're like, "Dude, shout out Wapato," or sorry, I keep saying Wapato. I think it was Toppenish. Sorry, shout out Wapato too.
Shout out Toppenish and Wapato.
Yeah, Wapato, both of them.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people from the Lower Valley were like, "Hey man, shout out the Lower Valley, man. We never get any attention over here."
Come on.
So it was cool, man. And again, seeing that guy, there happy, like to spend money at my spot, that was like, man, respect to them, respect to how hard they work at their job, to be able to come over here and spend their money with us.
How'd that make you feel?
It makes me, it makes me feel special in like a non-weird way, like a special, like, dang, you really came over here to, to possibly meet me and buy some of our meat. That means we're doing a good job on social media.
Yeah. And I think that's the most important part in business is understanding that it's not the product, we're in the people business.
Right.
It's the relationships that you create and knowing that the product does serve the consumer. And I think what's unique in the entrepreneur space is being a creator. Most people are consumers.
Yeah.
But it's really important to be a creator in this space. Shout out to you, man. That's pretty dope to shout out Wapato and Toppenish, man, for
sure.
clutch.
For sure. Shout out to them.
Yeah, man. Go ahead and let's get this one up to 4 or 5 mil.
Let's do it.
So Juanito, Juanito's like, what's the future for Juanito's Prime? What's the next big goal?
The next big goal is to open up Yakima.
Okay.
So again, anybody from Wapato or Toppenish watching, man, Yakima's super close to you guys.
Accessible.
So it's accessible. That's the biggest thing is we want to be, we're getting the viewership that we want. We're getting the engagement that we want. Now we just got to get a store in the area that we're getting watched. And so a lot of people are viewing us from Yakima. They already drive. They already make that drive. So shout out to everybody that makes that drive. But we're going to be closer to you soon.
And what's the vision for you personally, Jose? What is your like ultimate vision on the future? What's
the ultimate vision right now? The ultimate vision right now is probably I want to have at least 15 stores. Not because of the money, not because of any kind of fame or recognition, but because of the reason that I know people need the service that we provide. I know that they need the quality that we provide. I know that people want it. People send me messages all the time like, "Hey man, open up a store over here. I want to be able to buy your prime arrachera, not necessarily just Wagyu, like any kind of the lime habanero chicken. If you haven't tried that one."
Yeah, I'm vegan right now, but when I get back into it, just believe I'm there.
Yeah. So, there's specific products out there like, "Hey, man, we can't find anything like that over here." Wherever they're at, even in Seattle, where like you would expect, Seattle has everything, but they don't have, the brand Juanitos over there. So people are demanding it. So we got to be over there soon.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Well, this is what it looks like when you back yourself, you build for your people, and you refuse to shrink. Jose, where can everyone find you?
You guys can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook under @Juanitos Prime Meats. Any one of those, or my YouTube channel is Jose the Butcher.
Jose the Butcher, come on. So go support Juanito Prime Meats. Man, you're a real one, dude. Just meeting you right now, dude. I'm obviously a big fan, big supporter. Before we go, what is your advice to someone that's listening right now that is wanting to make the jump into entrepreneurship and they're having those doubts? What do you tell them?
I would say, what's the reason that you want to jump into entrepreneurship? What is the biggest reason? What is your biggest why? If you figure out a good why, if you can obsess over the why and not necessarily for the recognition or the money, then you should do it. But if you're obsessing over, because I got to get rich or because I want to get recognized, I want to, if you want to prove to yourself, that's huge. That's a big accomplishment, proving something to yourself. But if you want to prove to others, you'll never be able to prove to others. You'll never be able to satisfy the need and want of everybody. So you know. So I would say the biggest thing is have a big why, but it has to be rooted in something about the community. That's the biggest thing for me. I would say that's the original advice that I would give them is just is it something that's rooted to uplift your community, or is it something that's just uplifting yourself? Because then everybody, if you want to uplift your community, if you want to say, hey, I'm from Tri-Cities, we started in Tri-Cities, we started selling this product and we're booming now, but you're uplifting your whole community as a whole, because you need a community to back you up in your business. If not, there's no business. So if you can back up your community, that's the biggest thing for me.
That's awesome. Appreciate you, brother. Thanks for jumping on the show today.
Yeah.
For those listening, like, share, subscribe. Juanitos, Prime Meats. Also, shout out to Jose for taking time out of your day.
Thank
Literally straight came from the grind.
Yeah.
Appreciate you making some time to come on the show. And then follow us on IG, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, whatever it is. Show some love to my boy.
Yeah. Thank you.
That was dope, bro. Killed it, dude. Hey, my guy's an